Hi, everyone. This is Neil Douglas, and this is American Truth Finders. Tonight, my topic, I was intending to start it off right away with H.R. 350 of the 117th Congress. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to start off a little different. I hope you'll understand, and I hope that you'll bear with me. I'm not going to be able to see. Yes, I do see that there is one person. Thank you. I appreciate your you're taking part. I hope that when you join me tonight that you will comment, give me your thoughts, think about what's going on. I'm going to start it off differently though tonight than I had planned. I'm disturbed. Nylan, Nealon, excuse me. Hi, I'm glad you, I'm going to wave right back at you. Okay. Uh, Whoever else is on there, just say hi to me. I can see you. I appreciate that. Um, but anyway, I want to start off tonight. I did a post last night and I didn't get to do a full post of what I wanted to say. And I may repeat it later for if we get more people coming on. I'm not going to bore you tonight. I'm not going to stay online all night or anything like that. Tonight is this is a very, very serious time in our history. I don't want to do any repeating. I hope that I don't miss anybody when they say hi to me. Laura, hey, how are you? I'm glad you could join us. Thank you for being a part of the show. Doris Roberts, thank you. Uh, this is really important tonight. So please, if you can, share this video for people to see it. Not for me, but for because of the topic. Last night I did a post. I got to thinking because after I watched, and I'm gonna suggest to my audience right now that if you get a chance, go to YouTube and watch. It's called America, the series, and it's spelled with a K, Amerika, America. Uh, two people off the top of my head that I can remember being a part of that series is Chris Christopherson and Robert Urich. The reason, the reason I when I watched that movie last night or that series, it's a long series. It was on ABC and it was made in 1987. Ladies and gentlemen, that series, if you watch it and if you follow it, just the first part of it, just the first hour, you will see what's going on today. It's almost as if ABC wrote it and our country decided to adapt it. And when it got done, my mind got to thinking, and I had to write something. It wasn't long, but because you can't put something long and have it with color and so on and so forth. At least I haven't been able to figure it out. But anyway, here's what I wrote. But I want to expand on it a little bit. And here's what the thing that I want you to think about: stimulus, lockdowns, vaccines, and fear. Do what you're told. Putting those five, excuse me, is slavery, in my opinion. Now, this is what I wrote. I just only wrote the first three: stimulus, lockdowns, and vaccines. That's the first three. Then I just added the other two tonight as I was thinking before the show. And they equal slavery because that's what we're under right now, in my opinion. Now, I'm giving you my opinion. Impeachment, this is the second part, is takeover. That's what I wrote on that little blurb. I added this to it: impeachment, including vaccines, fear, do what you're told, equal takeover. I want you to understand what I'm trying to say here. We're in a time in our life when we are being taken over. We are being taken over, and I know people are going to come and go because they don't have any interest in what I have to say, and that's okay. I understand that. I watched that movie, or just the first part. I'm going to continue to watch this because I've got the series. I have the series on DVD. The only thing is I can't seem to play it on my computer because it's it's an outdated type of DVD. That doesn't matter. It's the speed. I can still watch it on YouTube until they take it down, if they ever do. I hope they don't because it's a very, very important. It was actually a 13-hour series on ABC in 1987. But I'm going to tell you, people, America, as it was with a K on that series, is today. Trust me. When I saw people in camps, when I saw people lined up, a doctor standing there saying, in this video, in this movie, saying, I have to give vaccines. I've lost everything. I've lost my condo. I've lost whatever else. I can't remember what the other word. He says, I can't afford to lose anything else. And people were lined up waiting to get their name called to be vaccinated or to be seen by the doctor for whatever reason. Our country was divided in this video, in this series. You've got to watch it, I'm telling you, to understand where I'm coming from. This is a time. This is a time that we're going through now that when I watched just the first 2.5 hours of it, actually the first hour, I knew what was going on. I could see in that, and the person, I don't mean to jump around, but I got to tell you, one of the people that was imprisoned was a man that ran for president because he didn't agree with who was running the country. And of course, this was a movie or series, I should say. I keep calling it a movie, but it is a series that actually was taken over by Russia. Our country was. So the setting is just a little different, but the seriousness of what goes on in that series is what I'm getting at. This is what's happening today. Now, like what I said, and I'll read this a bit later about what I wrote on my little blurb last night, and I posted it on Facebook. We're under a situation right now of slavery. We're under a situation of takeover. Now, by who? The question becomes, by who? I'm going to read something. I'm going to try to do this and hope. That it doesn't. I don't think it'll block my screen out. If it does, you tell me. You just be patient with me, okay? Because what they really want to do is this. This came from the Houston Press. And this is how it reads. It's a time for fan conventions to ban MAGA, M-A-G-A, Make America Great Again. Earlier this year, social media companies took a bold and unprecedented action to remove the accounts of Donald Trump as he continued in inauguration for the violence of insurrection. Which I want to come back to you on this one for just a minute before I go any further. That insurrection that we're talking about. If you think about insurrection, that's putting somebody out of office, trying to take over. Now, so why would President Trump want to take over before he's even had a trial or anything else, the country or the government? So they're already trying to tie him on a situation that doesn't even exist. And that I'm giving you my opinion, of course, but I think if you look it up in the Constitution and how impeachment really rules, I'm not going to read too much more of that article, but the main thing is they want to ban anybody who supports MAGA, anybody who bans any type of social gathering. I'm telling you right now, we're in a very serious, deep, troubled time right now. I've never been more serious when I see what's happening to the United States of America. HR 35 doesn't come out and say it in so many words, but I'm going to try to give it to you as easy as I possibly can. It is basically, it's a terrorist, a homegrown terrorist act. It's a homegrown terrorist bill. Now, what is behind it? Who's behind it? It is the Department of Homeland Security, the Justice Department, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the federal government in general can take, and anything you post in social media, anything that any phone calls or whatever, that if they're keeping an eye on you, if you say certain things, you're going to be watched. Trust me, it's going to happen. That's part of this bill. Now, has a terrorism bill been, domestic terrorist bill been brought before the House and the Senate before? Yes, it has. But they keep adding to it. They keep making it so that you and I better watch our P's and Q's, according to the government, according to our now one-sided government. And I call it one-sided because of the fact anybody that's conservative, or anybody who's maybe even libertarian, anybody who maybe is even independent, if you don't agree with what the government says, or if you don't agree what media says, media is supposed to be free speech, right? Our media is supposed to be protecting the people and giving the people a voice, whether it's the newspaper, whether it's the TV media, or whether it's the social media. But instead, they're not protecting you and me. They're protecting those in Congress. AOC is scared because she's threatened that, or she said that Ted Cruz tried to kill her or whatever happened. You know what? This girl isn't even dry behind her ears, and she's already practically running the Democrat Party and the government. Her and her squad and Harris and Bernie Sanders. I mean, so I mean, what we're dealing with is more serious than what anybody wants to think. When you get to see something posted online, no matter what media it is, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, whether it's or whatever, LinkedIn, I'm telling you, they're watching. Now, that's where when on my opening monologue, I came in and I told you about the fear and the slavery, about the being controlled and taken over. That is what I'm talking about. Now, this bill, this HR 35. This is not a game. This is not a game. I'm going to go back to what I was reading earlier about that it's time to ban conventions of mega, anybody that's a group. And I'm going to explain something to you before I even go on further to that. What's really happened is what you think is maybe you personally actually becomes a group. Our religious freedoms, our religious beliefs are now a group. And that's even Marxist when you think about it, if you go and look it up. But anyway, let me go on. Said it was good to move that immediately reduce the experience of misinformation from the internet by 73%. That is about mega. That is about what this article from the Houston Press is reporting, that to ban by 37% any what they call misinformation. Now, It goes on to say fan conventions should follow suit and ban MAGA on from their events. And it goes on to say, but as I mean several things, the symbols, the paraphernalia, such as hats, flags, uh, the capes, should be prohibited. The same as Nazi symbols. So they're comparing the 70 some million people who supported Donald Trump and still possibly supports Donald Trump as like the same as Nazis. Prominent figures who traffic Trumpist conspiracy theories. Now, was the president of the United States, whether you liked him or whether you didn't. I dare any media to say this about Joe Biden. I dare them. They won't do it because they're in bed with them. They're in bed with the Democrat, left-leaning, communistic, socialistic, going government that's happening to the United States of America today. That if you're not careful, you're not going to be able to go out of your house. You won't be able to go to church. You won't be able to own a firearm. You won't have free speech. You won't be able to do anything unless you're told you're allowed to. And I'm telling you, you better pay close attention when I tell you this. This is serious, people. I'm not trying to be a somebody that just rattling of the mouth. I'm reading you an article that was written by the author of this article in the Houston paper that I'm talking about. Laura says it's a scary time. And Laura, it is more than scary. And you're absolutely right. It is scary. It is more than scary because let me tell you something. It's coming on us so fast, it's unreal. If you remember just a few weeks ago, Joe Biden kept saying, no fracking. Don't worry about it. We're not going to get rid of oil, energy. Don't worry about it. Everything's going to be fine. And look what's happened. We've already lost, close to 1 million jobs? But you better not say anything. You better not communicate with somebody and tell them this, how you feel or how worried you are or how unfortunate that this is. Because if the government passes a bill that says you could be a part of a terrorist group because you don't think the way the government wants you to think, they're going to drag you out of the house. It's called fear. Again, they're going back to fear. How are they going to imprison 70 some million people? They're not. There's no room. But are they trying to scare you? Yes. Are they trying to control you? Yes. They're already controlling us. Think about something. It's coming to a point where if you don't get vaccinated, and maybe you should get a vaccine. I'm not going to say you shouldn't, but if you don't, you won't get to go to the grocery store. You won't get to fly on an airplane. You won't get to go in a car someplace. Or public transportation is already in place. That that they want. I believe it's. I don't know if it's the entire country right now or not, but this is the plan that you have to wear a mask, and now they want to double mask and maybe even triple mask you. What are they trying to do? Smother everybody? Look, you don't have to agree with me. You don't have to believe me, but when I tell you that Bill 350 is about terrorism, it involves more than just homeland terrorists. It involves more than people that are crazy and want to blow up the White House, which I think is absolutely stupid, or the Capitol, whatever the case might be. This is not the way America is. But this is the way America's becoming. We're becoming a country of dictatorship. If you don't believe that, hang on to your hats because it's on its way. If you don't believe it, just think about what's lying ahead. Yes, I know people are going to come and go because I'm they don't want to hear me rant because they think it's about the same thing every week, but it's not. Well, it is in some cases. I have to retract that. It is the same in some cases. I asked for people to give me some ideas about, some shows. And Bob Freud did send me something, and I have to apologize. I run to get with him to get more information about what he wants to discuss, because I think it's a good idea. But my getting back to what I was talking about a little bit ago. Where is America headed? Is this the America that ABC in 1987 did a series about? That's on YouTube that you can go watch yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. I'm telling you, I watched the first hour and I said, and I've seen this whole series, but it's been so long I didn't remember exactly how everything played out. But I got to tell you, just after the first hour, I said, there it is. This is the America of today. This is the America of today. And the series, for those of you that might have not caught it, is called America with a K, Americick. I can't even, I'm so frustrated about it. I can't even spell it right, but it's America with a K. And Bob Ehrlich and Chris Christopherson, the president, the guy that runs for president, ends up in prison for 6 years in a prison camp. People living in camps, like what we could see as FEMA camps today. I'm warning you, people. We have to do something. I'm not talking about violence. Violence is not the answer. Violence is not where we need to head. Violence is not where it stands. They might like the violence, and I'm going to tell you something. In this movie, this series, I'm going to tell you, similarly to what happened on the Capitol on January 6th, they actually pumped up young people to go out and destroy and to burn police cars. Just like you see on the protests, where the police are even afraid of these people. Young people out just tearing up buildings, tearing up cars, going for crashing, burning police cars. Is this what our government has done? Has gone back and looked at movies? Think about it. Yes, I've gotten off the topic a little bit because I changed my mind when I opened up the show and I said, I'm going to concentrate mainly on HR 350. You can read that yourself. It's about 18 pages or so. And it really doesn't say a whole lot except that they're going to crack down on terrorism. Well, what they call terrorism, we don't know what it is. What is terrorism? Lori, hi, I'm glad you could make it. I know people are coming and going, and I apologize if I miss you because what I've done is I've kind of enlarged my screen to where I can actually read things the way they should be. And I can't remember who it was that told me to do that. But anyway, it's working. And I think I can go back and forth between articles so I can read them for you. And you can still at least see my ugly mug. Anyway, if you have something to say, I want you to please say it. I want you to tell me what's on your mind. Because let me tell you, right now, they have us in a situation of being controlled. They want to make sure that there's all mail-in voting for every state. And if you fight that, I'm sure you'll be a terrorist. Now, I'm giving my opinion on this, so Facebook police understand one thing. Other than what I'm telling you in the bill, and other than what I'm saying on that article that I'm reading, is my opinion. Everything else is you can find out for yourself. Now, you're being told you're going to have the vaccine. You're being told that they may go to 2 to 3 masks. You're being told you won't be able to take any public transportation without a mask or maybe even a vaccine. That's probably coming to that point. I've mentioned in my past shows about the fact that we will probably have to have a card to carry to prove we've had a vaccine. Now, I'm not telling you not to get a vaccine. That's totally up to you. I'm not telling you not to wear a mask. That's totally up to you. But I'm telling you, the government's going to tell you. The government's going to make sure you know. HR 350 is about domestic terrorism, but here's the point. Here's where I'm coming from. Donald Trump, when he was president, said he wants to stop outside influence in our elections, outside influence of taking over our country, outside influence of other countries basically dictating how they're going to run our country. So if you are a Trump fan, according to the article from Houston, this guy thinks that you should be considered basically you should be banned. 73% of all positive type of things that are mega or whatever should be removed and has been removed from social media, according to this article. Now I want to know, I do want to know something. Where do you stand on this? I'm going to read a little bit more of that article. It says, let's see, conventions must also be very, very purposely programming that it claims to be celebrate in conservatism. Other words, of any form, comics or science fiction, anything. A person who wants to be a part of programming like that needs to have their social media presence investigated to make sure it is not violent conspiracy theories. This is the author of this is Jeff Roner, and it was on January 26th that this was written in the Houston Press. We should be controlled. If you can't, Lori says that she does not take any more medicine. She does not take do not take the vaccine. And again, I can't tell people, Lori or anybody, to take it or not to take it. I'm just saying. Well, I think we're going to be told you're either going to take it or you're not going to be able to. You're not going to have money. You're not going to have food. You're not going to have transportation, because that's coming. The transportation's already coming, especially public transportation, whether it's subways, whether it's trains, planes, taxis, buses, whatever. They're already pushing already that you have to wear a mask. Well, that basically is to prevent you from spreading it to somebody else. Okay. But to make it to where it is a mandatory thing, this is where the scare tactic comes in my opinion. This is where the scare tactic is, in my opinion. America's in deep trouble. I'm telling you right now. When I said on my little short post, vaccines, stimulus, the lockdowns, that they were part of slavery, and then I added that the fear and do what you're told is also part of that. And we're already there. We're being told what to do. We have a Dr. Fauci that runs around changing his mind every time you turn around. You have a government that is now one-sided, unless you have some common sense people still in the Democrat Party that will say, wait a minute, we're going too far with this. We are not Venezuela. We're not Cuba. We're not communist China. We're not Russia. We're not Iran. We're the United States of America. Now, as in that series that I was watching, that I was telling you about, the series called America, with a K. I keep saying that because for those that might be tuning in late. I'm telling you right now, you had to say a pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of Soviet Russia, the United Russia, and the United Nations. That was the Pledge of Allegiance. Are we coming to that today? Are we coming to that? Is our whole world going to be a part of this whole picture? Is our whole movements, everything we do, is the Republican Party going to be a party that is considered a terrorist party because our government is setting the guidelines for that? I posted earlier an interview that was done by Gafford, and I'm going to tell you something. You need to watch it. You can go to my timeline; it's on there. It's not that long, but she does say America is in line for, and I'm paraphrasing because I didn't, I'm not speaking exactly every word that she said, but she paraphrased. I'm paraphrasing when I say that she said, your freedom of religion, your freedom of speech, your right to bear arms, your first, second, fourth, fifth, ninth, eighth, 10th Amendment of the Constitution is just about gone. It's on the verge. It's on the verge. It's like right on the line. It's right there. And look, please make your comments. Tell me what you think, because I'm telling you right now, HR 530 is headed that direction. When they talk about domestic terrorism, and yes, this has been a part of our bills, but they keep adding. And like the article I just read to you about from the Houston Post or whatever it was, I can't even remember the name of it, but I can get it. The Houston Press, excuse me. What's happened is now the press is not protecting you. The press is actually against you. It's against you and me. They're going to make it so that your neighbor is going to be telling on you if you do something wrong. That's already in place in different parts of the world. And I'm sure it'll be coming to the United States soon too, unless we can stop it. Joe Biden has signed more executive orders that has taken down the country than any other president, than the last three, especially in combined. What has to happen for America to wake up? What has to happen for you and me to say, wait a minute, there's 74 million or whatever plus people in this country that we're not going to do this violently, but we're not going to stand for a takeover. We're not going to listen to it. Look, you've got idiots, and I'm using a term like this because they're into all this clean air, clean thing, windmill free, so on and so forth, which is fine, except one thing. They're flying around in jet airplanes. They got 7 or 8 cars. They're using up gasoline. They're polluting the air, but that's okay for them. And I'm talking basically about John Kerry because he's up there preaching to us now. Look, America is not the America it was 6 months ago even. It's not the America of 2 months ago. We became a country that is being watched by every country in the world that used to look up to us, used to say, hey, America is somebody that we need to respect. Right now, we're being the laughing stock. You and I, if we say anything that's out of line, we're probably going to get punished. Well, guess what? I'm at a point in my life, I'm at an age in my life where if I can help do anything to save America, I'll take my punishment. I'll take my punishment. I'll give it to me as long as it saves America. Now, HR 530, like I said, I'm kind of off of that topic as far as reading any of it. I'm not going to read it because there's really not a whole lot other than who's going to watch us. Even your local police, your state police will be part of this. Of finding out if you're a part of a conservative terrorist type of group that they call, those on the left, your AOCs, your Bernie Harris's, your Marxists, your BLMs maybe. Now, I'm going to tell you something. How many of you knew that Black Lives Matter group, and I'm not talking about people that really care about Black lives, I'm talking about the BLM started by the Marxist women that were trained Marxist women, are now up for a Pulitzer Prize. I don't know if it was Norway or who that actually suggested them. But I tell you what, why are they getting even thought about for a? That's like saying the KKK should be put up for a Pulitzer Prize, in my opinion, or any other crazy group. Now they want to say that being MAGA, wearing a MAGA hat, is you could be a terrorist, a homegrown terrorist. I'm telling you right now. I hope you'll share this video because you can show people not what I'm saying, but what is going on. Not to show them how angry I am and upset I am because of the fact our Constitution is being walked all over. Everything about this country is being walked all over. Everything about this country is being taken away. Everything about this country is being controlled. Businesses are just being destroyed. Big business has turned their back on the president of the United States. What kind of country is this? Where you have companies, big companies, Kohl's, Bed Bath & Beyond, H-E-B, Kroger's. It doesn't matter. I could go on and on, but you know what I'm saying. What business have they got to go against somebody who supported the president of the United States? What business has social media got cutting off the president of the United States because they don't like him? Because he's not a Washington insider? Because he's not a politician? Because he was cleaning up the swamp? And he was cleaning the swamp on both sides, as far as I'm concerned. You might have a different idea. Oh, thank you. The Nobel Prize, Ron. I'm so sorry, but I'm glad you corrected me on that. That the Black Lives Matter. What I say, the Pulitzer? I did, didn't I? Thank you, Ron Mulholland. I believe that. I appreciate that very much. Because look, people, it's going to be too late one of these days. It's really going to be too late. I used to say this once upon a time on a radio show that I did, that we're going to wake up one morning and you're going to get ready to go out of your house. And at the end of your driveway or into your sidewalk or wherever you might live, there's going to be somebody standing there with a gun, an armed military type of person or police type of person, whatever, and say, wait a minute, where are you going? Where's your papers? Where do you think, where are you headed? What time are you going to be back? How are you getting there? Now that sounds far-fetched and it sounded like conspiratorial talk, and basically it can still be that, but we're not very far away from it if you look at what's going on today. Now you have to be swabbed, get a swab before you get on the airplane. Well, let me ask you a question. How accurate is it? You could still be infected. We're not. This is not America as we know it. Why are the left? And I've warned people. I told people if we don't have a way of balancing what's going on in our Congress, the country could be very well done. Last election is over. We may never have an election, or let me rephrase that. We could have one. But you're going to know who the winner is before you even go out and vote because it's going to be one-sided anyway. And in this terrorist bill, if you are a conservative or you're a God-fearing person, I don't care if you're conservative, libertarian, independent, doesn't matter who you are. If they think, when I say they, I'm going back to our left-leaning progressive government. If they say that you are a terrorist or you are a threat, they'll lock you up. They'll find a way. They'll put you away somehow. People like me who get on and I try to give my right to speak, try to give you a platform to put your comments. I'm telling you right now, how do we stop it? Well, number one, I would say if we can stop it, of course, it's going to have to be without violence. It's going to have to be without fear. It's going to have to be without being afraid. And I'm telling you, let me see here. Ron says, and by the way, Ron, I want to welcome you to the show, and I'm glad you're taking part. Ron says, it's when I was younger, police cars became, yes, need them to protect. Well, it says when I was young, the younger police cars. Whoops. Um, had on them to protect. Yes, yes, it did. The protect and serve, I believe, was what used to be on that, Ron. Now that you bring that up, sorry about that, but I was reading it. I wasn't quite reading it right. Doris says I've shared. Doris, thank you so much. Not for people to hear me, but for people to hear you and get I'm just keep rattling on because of the fact I look. This is concerning me very much. Ron says to protect and serve. You're right. That's what I was thinking about because that's what I remember when I was a kid. There was a time that police were protect and serve. Now it's a case where police and I'm not saying all police, but the government right now, our federal government is trying to make it so that police become the military for the people in a different way or a part of the military. Let me rephrase that. Because of the fact here we are, many great police officers out there trying to help and do some wonderful things to people, for people, and help people. They do. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But they're trying to be trained now. The younger ones are going to be trained now that they are to make sure that we stay in line, not just to give us tickets, not just to give us that parking ticket or to pull us over because we're going too fast, but make sure we stay in line. And when is it going to be? When Harris, like she said, she wants to take our guns. When's it going to be? When they come to us and say, we have the right to come and confiscate your gun because we know you have one. Because you might be a terrorist, because you think conservatively. You think you might have you might want to go to church. And we don't think you should be going to church because that church might be a little too conservative for you. That's part of the 530 HR 530 bill. Terrorist. I'm not saying that that's what's in there, but if you put two and two together and you look at that bill and look at homegrown terrorist or whatever, it fits the bill of anybody who is conservative, anybody who has even moderate maybe. We're in a time where we can't sit by idly, and I'm not saying violently. I'm talking about we can't sit by and not continue our fight for freedom, our fight for our rights, our fight for children and grandchildren and so on and so forth, because they're the ones that are going to suffer more than any adult. There was hope that maybe Joe Biden would not follow the progressive left as fast as he has. I don't even know, honestly, if he even knows what he signed, what executive orders. I really don't. I don't even know if he has read them. That's pretty serious. And he signed more than Obama, uh, uh, Bush, but Donald Trump, you know, he was just putting the signature, kept going and kept going and kept going and kept going. Ron says, but I haven't seen that on their cars now. You know something, Ron? I have to be honest with you. I have not looked, but I'm going to, because there's where I go down to the corner store where I go. There a lot of times police officers are there. I'm going to look on their car. That's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up, because is the to serve and to protect still on their cars? Or is it just the city of such and such, the city of such and such, or whatever, police department? Our police, remember, children used to love to run up to a police officer who was walking the beat, for crying out loud. And because they respected them. We used to look at our government and our president as somebody that we respected. We may not have liked him. We may not have thought he was the greatest person, no matter what side of the aisle. But to take and have our country, the United States of America, take a president which you may hate, who was doing the best that he could with his hands tied or whatever. I'm saying that, defending him, of course. But here's the thing: for the United States of America to take and become so divided because they hated the president, and even the media and businesses went along with this. And I don't have the answer to why. Even the city that he lives in Florida, are trying to decide whether they want him to live there. Is this what happened in the United States, that even the president of the United States, a former president of the United States, they didn't even do that? They didn't even do that to Richard Nixon when he resigned. And I'm going to tell you something. You better think about what's happening right now. That's serious stuff. When we can't. You know, there's a lot of people that didn't like Barack Obama, but he was not treated this way. This is not the way America is or should be. We have become that way. We have become a country that's like a third world country, or like a Venezuela, or like a Cuba, or whatever, or China. Ron goes on to say, I also think that folks are going to use social media. We need to start using a code to do that. You know something, Ron, you're not the first person that has come up with a sort of a similar idea. I'm not, you know what, but you're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, there may come to a point where people, in order to communicate back and forth, will have to have a code, a number to chat. How will they keep from spying on what you chat? Even if it's to say hello to your mother or your sister or your brother or your niece or nephew, it doesn't matter. If they're watching, Google's watching everything you do, for crying out loud. Are they going to tell on us? Are they going to turn us in as homegrown terrorists, according to HR 350? I'm telling you right now, I never expected to see America come to this point. I never expected that. Well, at least not. I shouldn't say that. I did expect it, but I didn't expect it to happen the way it's happening and this fast. It's happened so fast that my head is still spinning. Ron goes on to say that we have been punished, or excuse me, pushed to that point. Pushed to you are red or blue. You know why? Why do we, and Ron, you're right. Why do we have to be a red or blue, state? Why are the people, if you're blue, the red's supposed to not like you? If you're red, the blue's not supposed to like you? This is what's dividing families. This is what's dividing homes. This is what is dividing the country. I'm Ron says, oops, sorry, red or blue because we are all Americans. You're right, Ron. I knew what you were saying, but the point is, this is what has happened. You're either from a blue state or a red state. You're either a conservative or liberal. Why can't we be people, Americans, like Ron just said? We all bleed red. Does anybody bleed any other color? Does anybody bleed blue? Does anybody even think about that? Does anybody think about how many of you have lost family members? Not, I don't mean because they died. I'm talking about because of your political beliefs. And I'm going to tell you, it's not. This is my opinion, so you people do not have to agree with this. It wasn't Donald Trump that divided this country. It was not Donald Trump that did it. I'm going to tell you who I think is part of it. I think part of it goes back to our media because they didn't like him. The media being on the idiot box, the TV, they're not even newscasters anymore. They're opinionators. They're commentators. They're dividers. They're not telling you news. They're telling you how they think and how they want you to think. Remember last week when I had the topic of they want to how they can deprogram any Trump supporters. Katie Couric was almost in a panic because she wanted to know how we're going to deprogram these people. I don't need deprogrammed. What they want to do is program us, and that's what they're trying to do, and they're doing it. And I'll tell you how they're doing it. Then I'm going to get to you, Doris. I'm going to get to your comment. Matter of fact, I'll do that right now. You notice that you don't see anything on Facebook bragging about Biden anymore. You know something? I haven't seen anything said much about Biden at all on Facebook or I don't go to any other. I used to go to Twitter, but I mean I think I still have an account there because I've been a good boy. No, I'm seriously. I don't mess with Twitter unless somebody sends me something, and that's where I end up because that's where the post might be. But you're right. I don't hear anything about Biden. I take that back. I take that back. There are people that still think Biden is the greatest thing since mom's apple pie. Well, to them, that's their right. They have that right. And you see, that's the whole thing. Why is it conservatives can say that to somebody that you have the right to think the way you do? You have the right to say what's on your mind. And I'm telling you that this is not a situation where how many people on the left that wants to hear what you have to say that says that you've got the right to say it. It's freedom of speech. They don't. Francesca, how are you? I'm glad you could make it. Oh, my goodness. Hi, she says, hi, Neil. You're right on this. It's just scary stuff. The desperate isn't even afraid, or the deep state isn't even afraid to show their faces anymore. Well, actually, I just kind of used a different word. This is Biden's administration seems a fake, like I've been watching a movie or books. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Francesca, I got to tell you something. Biden's introducing every American first policy. Why? Because he's anti-American. And so, let me go on here because I want to read the rest of it. She says, because he's anti-American, obviously. Francesca goes on to say that so was the Obama administration. I pray Trump does start a new party. It's all been a scam and one of the American people, but I believe Trump will be back on or back soon, God willing. I have to agree with you, Francesca. I think that he will be in the picture. He's not going away. Trump is not going away. But here's my concern about a third party. My biggest concern is what will happen to those that still believe that you have to be a party. You know, for instance, that they have to be a Republican or they have to be independent or libertarian, and they're not going to vote for a third party. Like I think that there was a rumor of saying using the Patriot Party. Uh, I could be wrong, but correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But Francesca, but I think that that's what was mentioned. But there is a possibility. There is a possibility that a third party could pop up. I don't like the Tea Party did, and look what happened. Look at the there's other parties. And what happens is we get to this point where we have to be a Democrat, we have to be Republican, we have to be Libertarian. Why can't we be just ourselves and vote for an individual that we truly believe is going to help us? I realize that we're in trouble now. And Francesca, if you're still here, I do want to say one thing because I want to get to Ron's comment, then I'll get your next comment. But I want to say this before you came on, I mentioned about a YouTube video that you should watch because I know how patriotic you are and how scary this is. It's called America. And I know for those of you that have been watching me all during the whole show, you're probably tired of me here saying it, but it's spelled with a K. And it was done in 1987 by an ABC series. It was a 13-hour series. I watched the first hour of it, but you watch just 1 hour of the very first episode, and you're going to know exactly what's happening in the United States today. This is scary because the man that ran for president ended up in prison because the government that was controlling our country, the United States, did not like his opinions. He was not able to be controlled. He did not agree with their thoughts. And he was put in prison. People were in camps. People lined up to see one doctor, and who had lost everything, but he was giving them vaccines or something to keep them from getting some kind of sickness or whatever. This video or this movie, this series, America, I wish like heck I could do it on my show to show you. If I could figure out a way for people to watch it, I would do it. Trust me, I did put the first series on my timeline, the very first one. It's 2.5 hours. But if you watch the first 45 minutes to an hour of it, I promise you will not stop watching it. You'll want to see what happens. I saw this. I've even got the complete series of 5 CDs or DVDs, excuse me. But I'm going to tell you, unfortunately, I can't play it on my computer. But that's neither here nor there. Bottom line is, you can watch it on YouTube until they take it down. I hope you'll do that. I want to get on here. Ron says the media has controlled, been controlled since the 50s when Operation Mockingbird was started. There, you know something, Ron. When you talk about the media, again, back in the 50s, so many people aren't even remembering the 50s. But if you look back, even in history, if you look at any kind of history at all about the 50s, it did start back then. The media started to be controlled back then, but it grew worse. Remember, there was a time, and I think his name, he was on radio, and I think his name was Gabriel Heater, and then along came Paul. Why can't I think of it all of a sudden? But you know who I'm talking about. Then media, but they were actually basically not just, they were talking about real news. They weren't just giving you their commentary, but they weren't being controlled like what we saw in our recent history. You're right, Ron. You're right, and it's funny that you mentioned up the Mockingbird, Operation Mockingbird, because I don't think anybody's probably even thought about that. Let me move on. I want to get back to Francesca. They have to get over it. Yes, the Patriot Party. Okay, so that's the party that now I heard, Francesca, that they actually that Trump has denied, this is what I've heard. I don't know if this is true or not, but I've heard that he has denied that he is starting a Patriot Party. But he's not going to get out of the picture. He's definitely not going to get out of the picture. And if he and I pray to God that he does not disappear on us, because of the fact Donald Trump did everything he could to bring this country together. He didn't care whose side of the aisle you were on. If you weren't doing your job, you're out of here. Because he's not a politician. He is a man who thinks like a businessman. If you run a business and you're successful, what have you done? You did things right. You got rid of people who weren't doing their job. So that's what Donald Trump did. And Facebook police, I know if you don't like what I'm saying, the fact of the matter is, it's the truth. You know, I mean, you know, this whole thing affects your children as well as it does ours. So don't shake your finger at me. Ron says only has been perfected is the truth, since our third party should be called the Americans Party. Well, see, now we've got there's another opinion. The Americans Party, because we're all Americans. You're right. I can't argue that. The Patriot Party, that might be considered terrorist, Francesca, because of what about the bill that I was talking about earlier, this Bill 350. I want to make sure that is. I want to make sure it is the Bill 350. It doesn't matter. I can post it for you later. But the bottom line is, yes. There could be a third party if the Republicans or the conservatives at this point would join that third party to help get our country back online, get our country back. Period. They're talking about an election in 2022 that could maybe change things in the House or Senate or whatever. That'd be the House. They're talking about Republicans taking that over. I'm going to tell you, if the Democrats get their way with the mail ballots, if they get their way about, they're already stopped the wall. People come in, they're going to bring in every kind of possible disease they could because they don't have medicine to take care of them. How are we going to deal with that? But yet we're going to make them a citizen. They want to make them a citizen the day after they come in. What about the immigrants that have been here legally? What's this going to do to them? I'm telling you, you have to believe what I'm telling you. I'm not the expert. I just know what I read. I know what I hear. I know what I see. I know what's happening. Look, when they want to do away with gasoline, already gasoline prices are jumping. Think about it. They get rid of the XL pipeline, and all of a sudden, overnight, gasoline prices are starting to jump. Wait until they get to $4 and $5 again. Going to thank Mr. Biden. Francesca says some big things are about to happen. You know something? You got a good point, Francesca. I think some big things are about to happen. I'm hoping, although when President Trump fired his team, his lawyers, he wants them to go with the from what I understand. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you know better than I do, any of you. He wants them to go on the fraudulent election theme. And they don't want to do that. They want to protect him from being impeached, not on election fraud. They don't want him to be impeached because of that, because they want to try to keep him from being insurrected. He is a private citizen. That means that you, any of you, me, if we do something that they don't like, if the left doesn't like what we're doing, I'm talking about the progressive left, Your Nancy Pelosi's, whose husband just, I think, signed another contract with, or no, she take that back. He either sold or bought. I can't remember I got to go back and redo some memory of the uh, GameStop stock. He made $1 million or so, just in like that. Is that insider trading? I'm talking about Nancy Pelosi's husband. Look it up. Somebody look it up. Make sure that I'm doing this right, that I said that right. There's so much going on that you, as a patriot, you as a conservative, you as an independent or libertarian that might want to think for yourself, you could be listed as a terrorist according to this bill that they're getting ready to, that they're trying to enforce upon us. And I'm telling you right now, this bill is to authorize dedicated domestic terrorism officers within the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Justice, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation to analyze and monitor domestic terrorism activity and require the federal government to take steps to prevent domestic terrorism. What is domestic terrorism? It could be anything that they don't agree with. And they're going to use, as I said earlier, they're going to use your local police. They're going to use the military. They're going to use everybody. I want to know one thing before I go on to Francisca. No, I'll do it right now real quick. Francisca says the American Party. She said, I like that too. I like it too. I just hope that, I'm just wondering, what's, if a third party would really help us or hurt us. That's the only thing I'm questioning. And that's just my opinion. And all of you are great for your comments because you know more about things than I do, or as much as I do for sure. And then in your case, like Ron just brought up about the Mockingbird that I totally forgot about. And it was created by the CIA, according to what Ron just said. I don't doubt that. And because the CIA was involved, from what I understand. I can't be quoted because, they say there's no proof. But if I'm not mistaken, the FBI and the CIA were involved with the election in some way or another. I don't know. The election's done. They're not going to change it. Even if they found out that Biden knew it was a fixed election or whatever the case might be, they're not going to change things. You got a House and a Senate that has the president is the tiebreaker. I say the president of the Senate. That is Kamala Harris, who's the vice president of the United States now. Francesca says, I don't care what he calls it, as long as it doesn't go, that he doesn't go. People have to see how it is without Trump again, and feel, and feel that's, you got a point there. And we'll see. Everyone pray for Trump and America. I totally agree with that. Doris says it was the Patriot Party. That's one they said that everybody has been talking about. Ron says that it is for us. It's for our kids. It's for our grandkids, our great grandkids, and the future of generations. Sorry, my spelling sucks. No, don't be sorry. Don't ever be sorry for telling what you feel. Because I tell you what, your spelling, you say your spelling sucks. Well, guess what? My eyesight's not the greatest either. That's why I have a hard time trying to read something. So, that's beside the point. The point is we're Americans. We're patriots. We're people who might be looking down the barrel of somebody's gun because we don't agree with them, because the left says, hey, guess what? You could be a terrorist because you went to church. You could be a terrorist because you posted something on Facebook or whatever, Twitter or wherever. You might be a terrorist because you and your fellow friends had a conversation about President Biden or past President Trump or whoever. Francesca goes on to tell us that she said the world witnessed the real or the steal live and on TV and many in person. Oh, there's no doubt about that, Francesca. I totally agree with you. The whole world saw it, and right now the world's laughing at us. The world is laughing at the United States of America because we become another Venezuela. We have not in total, but we're headed that direction real fast. We have become another Cuba. We are becoming that way. We're becoming. We're so controlled right now by China. It's unreal. We're so controlled by Russia. It's unreal. That's why, please, please, people, we have to bring God back into our country. We can't get our country back. And as I said earlier, it's not by violence unless God says, "Hey, go for it," because of the fact that's what's going to save our country. I mean, he makes the decisions. He already knows the future of our country. We have to just pray and be faithful. We have to be faithful to our country. And I tell you what, they'll take people like me off. They'll keep people like me from having freedom of speech. My videos maybe will be taken down or whatever. By the way, I do hope that before anybody goes away, I do hope that you will share this video. Not so people can hear me, but because of the comments you've made. And if I don't thank each one of you individually, I'm going to thank you now anyway, before I forget that your comments are great. And I really appreciate the support that you give me. People, as I said before, I know people come and go because of the timelines, as far as they have work to do or whatever the case might be. But I want to tell you, before anybody does anything, please share this, because what we're talking about tonight is right now. The United States of America is on the verge of losing everything we have built. Our forefathers would roll over in their graves if they could see what's happened to the United States. The founders of our country. The left now wants to do away with electoral college and or bring in another state so that they can control the electoral college. Francesca says many have sold us out, and we're seeing it too. You're absolutely right about that. And yes, we need God to who can he can save us. Francesca, you're absolutely right. And I want to go on. I want to say something for those that are still watching. I do want to say this, and I know you can all see the number of people that are coming and going, and I understand people come and go. That's doesn't bother me. I'm just hopeful that they will make their comments, like Francesca and like Ron, and like Doris, and so many others, Lori, everybody. You're wonderful, and I will try my best to personally message you and say thank you for your support. And God willing, they'll not take me off of the of my videos here on Facebook. I hope that the Facebook police will understand that this is free speech, and all I'm doing is giving you my opinions, and other than what is real. You can't put a fact check on what's real. But I want to say just a couple more things before we decide to call it a night, because I'm not going to keep you all night tonight. As much trouble as America's in right now, we're on the verge, as I said, of adding another state. They in my opinion, I could be wrong. Maybe somebody else knows better than I do. But Washington D.C., which they want to also are considering, along with Puerto Rico and somewhere else. The bottom line is this: Washington D.C. is a government entity. It can't be a state. That's on federal ground. From what I understand, that's not possible to be a state. The mayor does not really have control of that city. It is not. It is the federal government. So that the Washington D.C., in my opinion, and I hope somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, is not eligible to be a state. Puerto Rico, Yes, they can be. They want to make mail voting nationwide. You saw the mess that happens. And for those that might know somebody that works for the mail service, you can't blame the mail service. They do their best. You can't blame them for anything for mail. I can see absentee mail. That ballots. That's been something around forever. There's nothing wrong with that. But just willy-nilly mailing out ballots for people to vote, you end up with 2 or 3 people voting for 3 or 4 times, or you find dead. How many dead people get to vote? Oh my gosh, I'll tell you what. Somebody makes a joke that their grandmother voted like 10 times or something, and she'd been dead for 10 years, and she voted all 10 years. How does that happen? Because of willy-nilly mail-in voting. There's so many things, and we'll go over them on another show, maybe the next show. I'm not quite sure. Depends on what we see, what goes on. But I want to, but one more time, I want to just read, and I want your thoughts on this. If you want a private message me, you can, because I'm not gonna keep you any much longer here. When I posted last night that stimulus, lockdowns, and vaccines equals slavery, and then I added today, not online, but I added on because it wasn't room. Stimulus, lockdowns, vaccines, fear, and do what you're told, which is where we're headed, that equals slavery. I also said that impeachment equals takeover. I think you get the point. But tonight I added a few other things. Impeachment, lockdown, stimulus, because if they keep you paid not to work, and that's what's coming. I'm telling you, that's what's coming. Fear, do what you're told, equals takeover. People, we're being taken over. I want to read what Ron has to say here. Let's see. Will there be more people than the fools who think they rule us, that don't, but they all take their oaths to uphold the Constitution? Boy, did you nail it on that one. And defend the country from, yes, anonymous enemies, from foreign and domestic. That is sort of a code as a zippity doo dah. I'm sorry. You just made my day on that one, Bob. Ron, that was good. Thank you so much. And anyway, if you do have a topic that you want to discuss in the future, feel free to send me a message. Like I said, Bob Freuden has one, and I want to get with him on that because it's a good topic. The big reset. We've got to talk about that because it's on its way. I'm telling you right now, it's on its way. The Biden administration is in power now, and the big reset is on its way. Donald Trump's administration was holding it back. And if you don't know what the big reset is, you're going to find out. Ron says, "Glad I got to laugh." Well, I'm glad you got to make me laugh. I'm going to tell you. But anyway, this is the time, people. Please share the video. That's all I'm asking. Tonight's show, again, not so somebody can see my face and hear my voice, but because you have come up with so many things that make so much sense. And I do get to ranting and raving, and I get carried away, and I get, off on a tangent. But if you know me, then you know that's what I do. Because I love this country, and I don't want to see it lost. I don't want to see the United States of America disappear. The America that we knew, the America that we grew up in. Ron, you nailed it when you talked about the grandchildren and the great grandchildren and so on and so forth. They're the ones that are going to pay. They are the ones that are going to pay. If you know of anybody that'd like to be a guest with me on my show, private message me. Let me know how to get a hold of them. I really would love to get a hold of Chris Christopherson and get his opinion of that video or that movie series that he was in, what his thoughts are today about it. Because he was the one that played the part of the president that was imprisoned because he didn't agree with when the takeover was done. He didn't agree, and he comes back to his land of where he was at, and it took place in it was actually, a lot of it was done in Nebraska, but they did a little town called Milford, which doesn't exist, but that's the name they gave it. But I'd like to talk to him, and I'd like to find out what he really thinks is going on today, if that has any ties to the video or that series that they did, because it definitely sure looks like it to me. I've already got the second part keyed up to go because I'm going to watch that afterwards. My heart is hurting right now for America, but I still have hope because I won't give up. I won't give up. And I know that you won't give up. All of you that are so faithful to this country, you're so faithful to the fact that you love your freedoms. God willing, we're not going to lose them all. Ron says, zippity doo dah. Does that mean get off of here, Neil? Francesca says you do a great job. People better speak up or we're in trouble. Thank you, Francesca. I appreciate that very much. I really do. That's very kind of you to say that. But you also do a great job. I see what you do on Twitter, or what and I'm so glad that you were able to take part of tonight's show, and I hope you'll return. I really do. Your comments are great. We are in trouble. People have to speak up. You cannot stay silent. Not just for the United States, because I'm going to tell you what happened in the United States is going to affect the rest of the world. We're going to be taken over so much by China, or, even on my website, I've kept it up. I've said this to so many people. I've kept the same things up about China on my website, AmericanTruthFinders.com. I'm telling you, it's all about China. Every one of those is a video. Ron says, have a great night. Ron, thank you so much. You have a great night also. And thanks so much for your comments. I really mean that. It's been wonderful to have everybody comment. Francesca says, pray and never give up. I amen to that. Twitter suspended you? Wow. Oh, is that because you were a Trump supporter, or you did follow Trump? I know that. And you speak out very well. You don't hold anything back. I got to give it to you, Francesca. Really. And that's impressive. I really like that. I like it when people are not afraid to speak out, because we've got to keep speaking or we're going to lose the country. Yep. I got it. Well, let me tell you something, Francesca. More power to you. So Twitter lost somebody. Guess what? I do believe there's going to be more social medias pop up somehow. And I think, like even Parler, with Amazon having as much control as they do, AWS, that's too much control, that they can take down anybody. Let's see. Doris says, mine sucks to. I can't make that last word out, Doris. But it looks like to room or something like that. I apologize. I don't know if it's me or what it is, but let me see if I could see. It looks like I'm saying it right. But anyway, I think I get your point. I think I really do, Doris. You know what? You're another one that's been so faithful. I really do appreciate that. I appreciate everybody that really is supporting what we're doing. And I say we because it is we. I was a little bit discouraged before I came on the show tonight. I'm not going to lie to you. I might just close this out to the half hour. We've only got about 5 minutes if you can bear with me. Um, I was a little bit discouraged because I was thinking, do I do the show from material or do I do the show kind of off the cuff? Just, you know, and I wasn't sure because I didn't have the material I really wanted. I didn't have the enough of this bill that I think it really says a whole lot other than I know that it's going to nail the conservatives if we're not careful. It's going to nail anybody who believes in keeping America free. Um, so when I came on tonight, I decided I would open up about the that series from ABC in 1987. That's the date it says it was made, called America, and it's spelled with a K. And I know I've repeated that many times, but because so many people might miss that and just look for America, and you're going to come up with everything but that video. But if you type in Chris Christopherson or Robert Ehrlich and put America with a K with it, you'll find a way to find that on YouTube. But what I was getting at is, I decided once the camera went on that I was going to speak from my heart tonight. Yes, I did read a few things, an article that was done in a Houston paper, talking about how Trump supporters, MAGA supporters, should be basically done away with. They should not be allowed to post. They should not be allowed to have on any media. They should not be allowed anything. If there's any conventions, they should not have anything allowed. He compared them somewhat to Nazis. I'll be darned if somebody's going to compare me to any Nazi. I'll fight back with my voice. Trust me. Somehow. If it's not here, it'll be somewhere else. And I think what I should have to do, or what we should all do somehow or another to keep in touch with each other, is to get a way of finding an email so that we can keep in contact, because they're going to be watching our emails too, by the way. That I already know. They're going to be watching any movements that we make. They're going to try to take down the conservative values of this country, the religious values of this country, the good of this country. They're going to try to take it down. This is now a war of evil versus good. This is a war that has to be won by the good, unless God has other plans that we're not aware of, and He'll make it known to us somehow. I will post again. Well, I'll share it. I will say Gabby's comment about our freedoms. She was done. It was an interview that she did. I'll repost that for those that might want to see it. I'm going to repost this video, tonight's show. I call it a video because by the time we get done, it will be a video, unless Facebook should happen to take it down, which I don't think they will. I hope they don't. But if anybody needs or wants to be a guest, and I want to say that, please find somebody for me if you like. I mean, I have no problem for that. I'm trying to get Pastor Sims back on because he was so good, and he's such a well-spoken person, and he's got, I don't know, he does so much for his community. Ron, I thought you left us. Ron says, well, I was taught that our founding fathers wanted us to be able to have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You know something? You're absolutely right. And I love the fact you put your flowers or your flags and your hand waving. I hope you come back. You've been a great. You made me laugh and smile and what have you. Francesca says God said if we turn away from our wicked ways, he'll heal our land. I believe he will. Amen to that. That absolutely, absolutely correct. Thank you for putting that up there, Francesca. I really appreciate that. And it is about that time. It really is, because I said I'd quit at the end of the half hour. You've been wonderful, all of you. If you have any topics that you want to discuss, please send me a message, okay? In the meantime, God willing, we'll have our show next Sunday night, unless something happens in between, and it would be on a Thursday night. I know it's hard for everybody to keep up with me on those nights, but please share this show tonight, because you've all had great things to say. We kind of bounced around. I kind of bounced around. You didn't. I did. As far as what's happening. But right now, we better be prepared. Good things can happen, and well, we're going to end it with what Francesca typed and what she said. That God said, if we turn away from our wicked ways, he will heal our land. And she went on to say, I believe he will. And I have to say amen to that, because let me tell you something. When we have strip bars that can be open, but you can't go to church, that's the wicked ways that she's referring to. I'm speaking for you, Francisco. I'm using your words. Ron says he's just a broken wing nut. All right. Francesca says, good night, Neil and all. God bless America. Amen to that. Good night, Francesca. Everybody, God willing, we'll see you next Sunday, unless something comes up that will be on Thursday, and I'll make sure everybody knows. I want to thank everyone for being part of the show. If I don't thank you personally, I'm going to try to do that. God bless all of you. God bless America. Be safe. Be well. We'll see you next Sunday, God willing. Good night, everybody.